Thank you, Acting President. I rise to speak on the Independent Broad-Based Anti-Corruption Commission Amendment, Follow the Money Bill 2026 on behalf of Legalise Cannabis Victoria. If I am honest, I feel like I am getting déjà vu from the number of times we've stood in this place and talked about legislative reforms for the Independent Broad-Based Anti-Corruption Commission known as IBAC. But there is good reason for these plentiful motions, amendments and private members' bills. Non-government members are using all the tools that we have available to us to try and get government to listen to voters and finally act on integrity. Instead of admitting fault in response to reports of $15 billion missing on Victoria's major projects, thanks to corruption, we have a Premier who ran a smear campaign on a respected integrity expert and threatened to end a press conference. At the same time, it comes to light that the Premier sent a letter to IBAC asking them to investigate CFMEU corruption back in 2024, knowing they lacked and continue to lack the powers to investigate. And as recently as this week, it has come to light that there were other warnings about serious wrongdoing at the time. So the story continues, as does the government's woeful response. The response on the issue of corruption has been disappointing. There seems to be a real fear of owning up to fault and responding with real action. It's not about debating exact figures on how much was lost. It's about Victorians who want to know how this corruption was allowed to occur and who want IBAC to have the powers to actually investigate it. That's why, as non-government members facing a government who doesn't seem to want to take transparency seriously, we are forced to act. I thank members of the opposition for bringing forward this bill for debate today. It takes important steps towards giving IBAC the powers it needs to more meaningfully address corrupt conduct. The bill expands the jurisdiction of the Commission by inserting a new associated entity definition. This will capture a broad range of entities and is in line with Recommendation 5 of the inquiry into the adequacy of the legislative framework for the Independent Broad-Based Anti-Corruption Commission. As a member of the Integrity and Oversight Committee who oversaw this inquiry, these are issues that I am deeply familiar with and recommendations that I was proud to support in the final report of the inquiry. This recommendation was that IBAC's Commissioner be given powers to investigate corrupt conduct of third-party and private subcontractors where there is a substantial connection between alleged corrupt conduct and government funding. This is known as follow-the-dollar investigatory powers. Without these powers, there continues to be a glaring omission in our anti-corruption laws for what is a common practice in the construction industry, the use of third-party and private subcontractors. This bill will also remove the requirement that examinations are generally to be held in private. Now, this was an issue that was considered in the inquiry. In fact, it was almost a recommendation. While I supported the inclusion of a recommendation related to public hearings, funnily enough, opposition members of the Integrity and Oversight Committee did not support it. So today I do welcome the opposition's change of heart on this issue. The exceptional circumstances tests for hearings to be held in public settings are too far a high bar. This means that only in a tiny minority of cases with circumstances that are highly unusual and quite rare would a public hearing be held. As I've mentioned in this place before, this issue is not new here in Victoria or nationally. The debate on the idea of public hearings only in exceptional circumstances came to a head with the establishment of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, who was set up with a similar requirement. At the time, a survey by the Australia Institute found that less than 1 in 5 Australians believed the Commission's ability to hold public hearings should be restricted to when it should be in the public interest and in exceptional circumstances only. Now, this was consistent across all voting intentions. While I appreciate the need to be sensitive to the high burden placed on someone from an investigation, There also is a need for public interest and the public at large to have faith in government institutions. More public hearings will allow people to see these processes at work and hopefully build their trust in the existence of systems to identify and to respond to corrupt conduct. I understand that the Greens will be moving 2 amendments on this bill relating to retrospectivity and clarifying the consequences of a finding of corrupt conduct. We support these amendments as they further speak to the recommendations of the inquiry and a proper investigation into corrupt conduct in Victoria's big build. Now, more than ever, Victorians need and deserve fit-for-purpose integrity bodies. So, let's expand IBAC's powers and resource it accordingly. Thank you.